There are things never meant to be seen. Yet, somehow, they were recorded, leaving everyone who watched them deeply disturbed. Dark gatherings, ominous figures, and moments so unnatural they simply make no sense. Stay tuned, because these are the kind of clips you'll replay just to make sure you really saw them. Clip 1. Lucknow Climber. Residents of a private residence in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, had long dealt with minor but unsettling disturbances. Objects breaking at night, faint scraping noises along the walls, and plants disappearing from high-rise balconies. Most dismissed these incidents as the work of animals, like monkeys or stray cats, though a few quietly suspected something more unusual. Weeks earlier, a young child nearby claimed to have seen a girl climbing like a lizard outside a window, but the account was ignored. Then, one night, a pot fell and shattered near the entrance. Security footage later confirmed no one had thrown it. The video showed something unexplained, after which the family in the affected unit decided to sell the property suddenly. Clip 2. Unseen Presence. A young couple living in their home began experiencing unusual disturbances that led them to suspect something was wrong in the house. To document the incidents, they started recording their surroundings. During one of the recordings, while the husband was filming his wife, she became frustrated and asked him to stop. At that exact moment, the door reportedly slammed shut on its own. When he moved to open it, he claims he saw her lifted upward toward the ceiling, as if affected by an unseen force. The situation left them shaken, suggesting an unexplained presence in the home that had not yet ceased. Clip 3. Paranormal Levitation. This video, recorded on December 15, 2026, shows a young woman resting on a couch when an unexplained disturbance appears to affect her. She had reportedly been experiencing a persistent sense of a presence in the room, particularly during sleep, and chose to leave a recording to document any unusual activity. The footage appears to capture a sudden and intense moment that has since drawn widespread attention online. While some viewers interpret the incident as possible paranormal involvement, others suggest there may be alternative explanations. No definitive conclusion has been reached regarding what caused the events seen in the recording. Clip 4. Serbian Dancing Lady. As this delivery driver was traveling through a quiet crossroad in Serbia with a helmet camera, he reportedly encountered a strange sight. A woman alone in the road, repeatedly performing the same slow dance-like step. Curious, he slowed down and briefly interrupted her movement, which seemed to change her demeanor instantly. When she turned toward him, he noticed her face appeared unnaturally indistinct, leaving him unsettled. The situation quickly escalated as she moved toward him in an aggressive manner, prompting him to abandon his bike and flee on foot. The footage later sparked online speculation, with some linking the encounter to local folklore about a restless spirit said to appear on deserted roads. Clip 5. Backfired Ritual. This video is a creepy reminder that messing around with unknown rituals can go very wrong. It starts in a dark room where drawers are suddenly slamming open and shut non-stop, like something invisible is messing with them. Apparently, a group of friends had tried a ritual, thinking it would give them some kind of power. They set up candles around one guy and started chanting, not really knowing what they were doing. But things quickly got out of hand, and whatever they triggered didn't feel right at all. Freaked out, they stopped everything immediately, not knowing what they might have brought into the room. Clip 6. Shadow Visitor. A CCTV camera from the home of a special edition premium collector filmed the appearance of something very bizarre. From the darker part of the room, a strange figure seemed to emerge and stand still, as if looking directly inside for unknown reasons. The owner, concerned about his valuable collection, later shared the footage for further review. The figure's features were difficult to define, but it appeared to have large, dark eyes and a faint, unclear face, while the rest of its body blended into the shadows. Its presence felt unfamiliar and unsettling, leaving the encounter without any clear explanation. Clip 7. Motel Spirits. While staying at a motel in Memphis during a work trip, a man reported a sudden and unsettling encounter just outside his room. According to his account, two ghost-like figures appeared without warning, with no sign of how they approached. At first, they stood motionless, seemingly focused on him, before producing low, disturbing sounds that heightened the tension of the moment. He felt as though their presence was intentional, almost as if they were trying to force him away from the area. Shaken by the experience, he later shared the footage online, where it quickly sparked discussion and speculation about what had been captured. Clip 8. Little Girl's Interaction. Home security footage captured a young girl inside the house seemingly engaging with someone who wasn't visible on camera. At one point, she extended a box of candy as if offering it, when her arm abruptly snapped backward as though something had pulled it. Moments later, the tension eased, but the second box she was holding appeared to shift on its own, as if briefly taken by an unseen presence. When her parents later watched the recording, they were deeply unsettled, troubled by how close their little one seemed to something they couldn't identify or understand. Clip 9. Playground Shadow. Students from a boys' hostel in Greater Noida, India, were returning around 11 p.m. when they noticed something unusual in a nearby playground. A dark figure appeared to be swinging on its own in an erratic, forceful way that immediately caught their attention. The movement seemed strangely deliberate, as if meant to be noticed by anyone watching. Keeping their distance, the students recorded the scene from afar before quickly leaving. The footage was later shared on social media, where viewers debated what the figure might have been, as no clear explanation for the incident has been confirmed. Clip 10. University Poltergeist. A university student in Cuba who had arrived early to make a TikTok video with a friend decided to record a casual video while waiting outside their classroom. What started as a light moment quickly turned unsettling when she suddenly jolted backward, as if something had pulled her from behind, nearly causing her to lose her balance. Although she tried to play it off on camera, her reaction suggested she was shaken by what had just happened. The brief incident left both of them uneasy, as there was no clear explanation for the sudden movement in an otherwise empty area. Clip 11. Cursed Village. More than 2 centuries ago, the village of Kuldara in India was suddenly abandoned, and over time it became associated with legends of a lingering curse. In January 2026, a short Instagram clip renewed interest in the site when it appeared to show a figure dressed in a white sari, moving slowly through a deserted street. The scene looked unsettling as the figure seemed to lack a visible head in the dim footage. It approaches an old house, knocks on the door several times, then steps back and fades out of view. The recording ends abruptly, leaving no explanation for what was captured or what followed afterward. Clip 12. Ghostly Girl. Surveillance footage from a classroom in Okinawa, Japan, dated October 30th, 2020, shows an unusual and unexplained sequence of events. The classroom door slowly opens on its own, and a girl is seen entering the room. After walking a few steps inside, she turns toward the camera, and her eyes appear to reflect an unusual glow. At the same moment, a chair in the room suddenly tips over without any visible cause. She then pauses briefly, looks toward the camera, and quietly exits the classroom. The video later circulated online and sparked renewed discussion about earlier staff reports of strange nighttime sightings in the school. Clip 13. Chicago Shadow Grab. Late one night, a tenant returning to his Chicago apartment stepped out for a smoke before being seized by an unknown force. He saw nothing with his own eyes. Yet, the security camera captured what appeared to be the dark shadow of a large being responsible for the incident. According to the victim, he was dragged several meters across the hallway before being released, left shaken on the floor with no visible explanation for what had held him. The building showed no signs of any intruder, and nothing the naked eye could detect accounted for what the camera had clearly recorded, dragging him down that corridor. Clip 14. Mirror Figure. The young woman here, named Fizana, noticed something in her reflection that she had not placed there. A figure standing directly behind her, visible only through the mirror, bearing an unsettling resemblance to herself. Unable to see it by turning around directly, she began filming the reflection and shared it online. The concept of encountering a double of oneself carries deeply troubling implications across multiple cultural and paranormal traditions, often interpreted as an omen. Whether what appeared behind Fizana in that mirror was a doppelganger, a residual energy, or something using her image as a form, is a question the footage raises without answering. Clip 15. Grand Satanic Ritual. An anonymous source leaked footage claiming to have filmed it after going undercover on a secret island to document what appeared to be an Illuminati satanic ritual. The clip shows robed participants gathered around a horned Baphomet head, with a fire burning within its star sign, as though the group was actively attempting to summon a presence. The secrecy of the location, the deliberate nature of the ceremony, and the symbols involved left little ambiguity about what the participants believed they were doing. No identities were disclosed, and the island's location was never shared, leaving the footage as the only record of what took place there that night. Clip 16. Hatman Figure. Somewhere in downtown Acapulco, Mexico, a couple noticed something sitting inside a restaurant that had been closed for some time. The figure occupied a partially lit booth, wearing a dark hat and attire that made it visible enough to be unsettling without being clear enough to identify. Whether it was a person who had found a way inside, a ghost occupying a familiar space, or something else entirely choosing to sit in the dim light of a closed restaurant, the couple could not determine. They filmed what they could see from outside and left without investigating further, which, given the description of what was sitting in that booth, was arguably the correct decision. Clip 17. Black Shadow. On December 17, 2025, a recorder exploring an abandoned portion of a building in India late at night captured a black shadow moving through the darkness with a deliberateness that felt entirely intentional. The section had been unoccupied for some time, yet the shadow moved through it with an awareness that suggested familiarity with the space. Viewers who reviewed the footage noted that its shape and behavior placed it firmly outside anything attributable to light, angle, or passing traffic outside. No explanation for what was moving through that abandoned building on that night has been offered since the footage was shared. Clip 18. Staring Brusha. While using the toilet in her motel room, a young woman reached for her camera out of pure panic after noticing something she could only describe as a ghost. A terrifying-looking girl had appeared, staring at her with a fixity and presence bearing none of the qualities of an ordinary person. The footage she captured has since circulated online, with viewers noting that the figure's appearance matched descriptions most commonly associated with what Latin American tradition identifies as a bruja. No rational explanation for the presence of that figure in the motel room has been offered since the clip was shared. Clip 19. Street Nun. A lone Kansas resident filmed and shared a clip on October 20th, 2023, showing a woman in a nun outfit who had been walking up and down the same street for over an hour without apparent purpose or destination. The behavior was unusual enough on its own, but something about the way she continued, unhurried, repetitive, and entirely indifferent to those watching, created an unease the resident felt compelled to document. Whether she was a religious woman on a personal practice, someone in distress, or something that defied either explanation, no one on that street appeared comfortable enough to walk out and ask. Clip 20. Mother's Voice. After returning to the abandoned house he grew up in and stepping inside for the first time in years, he was stopped almost immediately by something coming from downstairs. A voice called his name, sounding exactly like his mother, who had passed away years earlier. He stood at the top of the stairs listening to a voice that had no place in that house, torn between the impulse to go down and the instinct to leave. Whether something had been waiting there all along and simply used his mother's voice to call him down, or whether the house was playing on his grief, he has not been able to say. Clip 21. Bonita's Stove. One Saturday at 3 p.m., Bonita Adonis was home alone in her kitchen when her security camera captured something she had no explanation for. A shadowy figure passed through the frame, and immediately after, the stove began shaking aggressively before lifting and slamming back down on its own. The incident occurred not long after the family had gathered at Bonita's home following the passing of her grandmother, who had died naturally while under her care. Those close to the family believed the stove's behavior may have been the grandmother making her presence known, and the timing of the shadow directly before the disturbance has made that theory difficult for even skeptical viewers to dismiss entirely. Clip 22. Man lifting car. After finishing his shopping, a man returned to find his car tightly wedged between two other vehicles, making it impossible to drive out normally. Instead of waiting for help, he stepped behind the car and, to the surprise of nearby onlookers, managed to lift and shift it sideways out of the cramped parking space. Two bystanders watching the scene were left stunned, struggling to understand how one person could move the vehicle like that. The moment quickly drew attention as it looked almost like something out of a film, with people questioning what they had just witnessed. Clip 23, Signal Hijack. Imagine watching TV and suddenly the signal gets taken over by something completely unexpected. That's exactly what happened in Chicago in 1987. Around 11:15 p.m., viewers tuned into Doctor Who were interrupted by a strange figure wearing a mask appearing out of nowhere on their screens. The first interruption was brief, as engineers managed to restore the broadcast quickly, but later that same night, the signal was hijacked again, this time lasting longer and becoming even more bizarre. The person seemed to be mimicking Max Headroom, a fictional character from the 1980s, but the meaning behind the strange behavior was never clear. Despite investigations, the identity of the hijacker was never discovered. Clip 24, Black-Eyed Girl. In a rural area on the outskirts of Ohio in April 2021, a resident recorded a disturbing encounter outside their home. The footage shows a young girl appearing suddenly and asking to be let inside, her tone described as urgent and unsettling. At first, she seemed like a child in distress, but her appearance raised concern. Her eyes appeared completely dark, and her age was difficult to determine. The unusual combination of her behavior and features led some viewers to connect the sighting to stories of so-called black-eyed children. While the video spread quickly online, no clear explanation has been confirmed, leaving the incident open to interpretation. Clip 25, Twisted Head. While exploring an abandoned hospital in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, on July 4, 2025, a group of Arab paranormal investigators captured something they hadn't anticipated. Deep inside the building, a female-shaped figure appeared on camera, standing still before suddenly reacting. In a moment that startled everyone present, its head twisted sharply at an unnatural angle, far beyond normal human movement, as if aware it was being observed. The deliberate motion caused the team to retreat immediately. The footage later circulated widely, with many considering it one of the more unsettling recordings to come out of a paranormal investigation in the region. Clip 26, Spirit of Black Eye. The disturbing clip that surfaced online on November 17, 2023, appears to show a child's reflection suddenly going still, with eyes that look unnaturally dark. The video was reportedly recorded by a babysitter while the child's parents were away, leaving her both frightened and deeply concerned about what she was witnessing. As the footage spread online, it sparked intense discussion, with some paranormal enthusiasts linking it to stories of black-eyed children. Others, however, questioned whether there might be a more ordinary explanation behind the unusual appearance. To this day, no clear conclusion has been reached about what the video actually shows. Clip 27, Bedroom Horror. Late one night, a Minnesota resident was asleep in his home when a disturbing incident was later discovered on his security camera, dated December 28, 2023. In the days leading up to it, he had reportedly experimented with a Ouija board out of curiosity, after which he began experiencing disturbed sleep and vivid nightmares, often waking with a strong sense that something was nearby. When he later reviewed the footage, he believed it showed unusual and unexplained movement occurring around him while he slept. Although the recording was unclear, it intensified his concerns and led him to suspect a connection between the disturbances and his attempt at spirit communication. Clip 28, Red Room. In a sensitive clip, a girl is shown inside a cluttered, unhygienic room where something immediately seems off. At one point, a cardboard box suddenly drops from above, startling her and causing visible panic. The footage then shifts, showing her eating and later holding up a handwritten sign toward the camera, appearing to ask for more food. The situation has led some viewers to believe she may have been in a controlled or restricted environment with limited access to basic needs. The tension escalates when someone appears to attempt to force entry into the room, leaving her visibly frightened. The clip ends abruptly, and her condition afterward remains unknown. Clip 29, Attempted Abduction. An Instagram user shared footage on March 26, 2026, claiming it documented her attempted abduction by aliens, stating the entire event had been captured on camera that night. The clip spread rapidly after being posted, drawing a mix of concern and skepticism from viewers who questioned both the authenticity of her account and certain inconsistencies visible within the footage itself. Whether what she experienced was genuine, staged, or something that falls somewhere between the two has not been determined, and the woman has not provided additional context beyond what was shared in the original post. The debate the footage ignited has continued online without resolution on either side. Clip 30, Neighbor's Face. A Russian man sitting alone inside his car shared footage of something that had formed on his windshield without any visible cause. A human face, clear enough for him to recognize immediately as his neighbor who had passed away 5 years earlier. He filmed the windshield and shared the clip online, noting that no one was standing outside the vehicle and no external source could account for the image on the glass. Whether the appearance of a deceased neighbor's face on a car windshield represents a paranormal visitation or something far more difficult to classify, the footage has not produced a satisfying explanation for either possibility. Clip 31, Manila Teleportation. Old CCTV footage from the outskirts of Manila captured a moment that has continued to circulate widely long after it was first recorded. A man walking across the street as a fast-moving car approaches, disappears from one position and reappears further along the road within a single heartbeat, leaving no visual explanation for how it happened. Those who reviewed the footage were divided between three interpretations: superhuman speed, magic, or a genuine paranormal event involving teleportation. Whatever occurred on that Manila street, the camera captured something that ordinary physics has proven entirely unable to account for, and the debate around it has never fully settled. Clip 32, Shed Disappearance. The homeowner, who was away from his property, received a motion sensor alert and remotely spotted what appeared to be an intruder entering his shed. He called the police, and when officers searched the shed thoroughly, no one was found inside. Hours later that night, the same man reappeared from within the shed on camera, emerging from a space confirmed empty only hours earlier. Whether the figure had remained undetected during the police search, found a way to re-enter undetected, or had been doing something considerably more difficult to explain inside, that shed is a question that has not been answered. Clip 33, Infecting Neighbor. Footage surfaced showing former University of South Florida PhD chemistry student Zooming Lee injecting a concerning substance into his neighbor's home, and what investigators determined stemmed from a dispute over noise. The family living next door subsequently experienced vomiting, dizziness, and severe headaches before the source of their illness was identified and traced back to Lee. The footage provided visual evidence that confirmed what had been done and by whom, leading to his expulsion from the university and his deportation from the country. The case drew widespread attention online as a disturbing example of how academic knowledge can be misused in a domestic dispute. Clip 34, Milwaukee Car Fire. On November 24, 2025, Ring camera footage captured what appeared to be a group of teenagers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, setting a car on fire before fleeing the scene. The homeowner, whose camera recorded it, shared the footage online, expressing relief that her own vehicle had not been targeted. The clip spread rapidly, with viewers struck less by the act itself and more by the apparent casualness with which it was carried out. Teenagers lighting a car ablaze and walking away as though it were an unremarkable evening. No arrests were publicly confirmed following the incident. Clip 35, Door Entity. A man received a motion sensor notification from his uncle's home interior camera while no one was supposed to be inside the property. When the alarm sounded and he checked the footage, what he found was not a burglar or a technical glitch. It was an entity opening the door and looking inside, moving with enough deliberateness to trigger both the sensor and the recording. There was no sign of forced entry, no broken locks, and no other disturbance anywhere in the house to suggest how anything had gotten in. The footage left him without an explanation for what his uncle's camera had captured opening that door. Clip 36, Cemetery Witchcraft. Passing by a cemetery in Mexico City on January 23, 2026, the source of this clip noticed figures standing outside the grounds, who at first appeared to be ordinary visitors. The moment a flame was ignited and the clothing of those gathered became visible, any ordinary explanation collapsed entirely. What was taking place outside that cemetery was witchcraft, a ritual conducted openly in the dark with fire and attire that left the nature of the gathering in no doubt for the person who filmed it. The identities of those involved and the specific nature of what they were performing have not been disclosed. Clip 37, Intruder Apparition. Neighbors checking on an elderly community member arrived outside the house and were stopped before reaching the door by something staring at them from the window. The figure appeared in a property residents say has been unoccupied for years, raising the immediate question of who or what had been watching from inside an empty house. The neighbors chose not to enter, documenting what they saw from outside instead. The footage has circulated without any explanation, and no one from the surrounding community has been able to identify who it was or confirm anyone had been inside that property at all. Clip 38, Explorer's Nightmare. An urban explorer moving through what appeared to be an abandoned structure encountered something inside that brought his exploration to an abrupt and alarming end. The dark figure that startled him appeared without warning from within the space, carrying a presence that left him with very little interest in investigating further. The footage he captured in those moments has since circulated online, with viewers noting that whatever appeared in that building was an effective deterrent against any further curiosity. What the figure was, whether it belonged to the abandoned building or had simply chosen to occupy it, has not been established. Clip 39, Staring Shadow. A man who had recently moved into a rental property heard a mysterious knock on the bathroom door and turned to find a shadow entity with glowing eyes staring at him through the translucent glass, distinct enough to stop him before he opened the door. The figure left nothing behind, no sound of movement, no trace of anything having stood on the other side. For someone who had only recently moved in, the encounter raised immediate questions about what else had been in that property long before his arrival, and whether it had any intention of leaving. Clip 40, Basement Peek. A middle-aged woman from North Carolina was alone in her basement when something began peering at her through the door, stopping her entirely. The figure visible through the gap was not something she could place or dismiss, and her reaction left no doubt about how genuinely frightened she was. She described her heart stopping before making the decision to leave rather than investigate. The footage has since circulated with three main theories: a ghost, a skinwalker, or an elaborate prank. None are confirmed, and all of which the woman found equally unhelpful in the moment she was facing whatever was looking through that basement door. Clip 41, Haunted House Window. While zooming in, a man reportedly filming a haunted house across his street got considerably more than he expected when a sheet passed by the window, revealing a little girl staring directly back at him. Several viewers who examined the footage closely also reported seeing a tall, dark figure standing behind her, a detail that added another layer to an already unsettling clip. The house is currently listed for sale, and the footage has done very little to improve its prospects. Whatever is inside that house, looking out from behind that window, has given the property a reputation that no real estate listing is likely to adequately address. Clip 42, Midnight Silhouette. Minutes after midnight, a young woman named Natalie from Wisconsin noticed a dark silhouette peering at her from within her bedroom. Her first assumption was that it was her dog, until she remembered the dog was outside. Whatever had been watching her at midnight from inside her own room was therefore unaccounted for, and the footage she captured has since drawn significant attention online. Viewers who reviewed the clip described the silhouette as distinctly non-canine in form, with many noting that the manner in which it watched her carried a quality far closer to something that should not have been in that room at all.